But now with the internet, some of these conspiracy theories certainly are thriving and taking on a whole new life of their own. And Benjamin Sarlin is a political reporter for thedailybeast.com. Benjamin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Sorry if I'm not as compelling as Orly Tates was yesterday, though.
Well, I'm sure you will be more informative. But let me ask you, Benjamin, David and I were talking this morning about this, but so many people reacted to Orly. But it is not just about this movement. We've seen things like this in the past. After 9/11, you had allegations that the Bush administration had ties to Osama bin Laden, and that some of the buildings were deliberately taken down. What makes this, I guess, such a hot topic, and that people want to react to these birthers in a way that we haven't seen recently with other conspiracies out there?
Well, unlike 9/11 truth to some degree, that whole movement, which was, I think, coming from a different place, the truthers, the birthers are really part of a very, very long movement that goes all the way back to the black helicopter movement under Clinton, this idea that there was a one-world government coming to take over. Timothy McVeigh, for example, believed that. It goes way back to the McCarthy days, the John Birch Society, of seeing a communist agent behind every tree, that Dwight Eisenhower was somehow a communist agent. It goes further back than that, as you mentioned, even to the days of George Washington and John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, where people were saying that they were all sorts of conspiracies to put some agenda.
But now because of the internet, and in 1 second you can get millions of people reacting to or thinking their information is accurate?
Certainly the internet helps spread these things quickly. Through email chains during the campaign, we saw was a major way to spread all sorts of disinformation about candidates. But at the same time, the internet can be extremely useful in debunking them. For example, anyone who searches Obama birth certificate is likely to immediately turn up, for example, Obama's own site, Fight the Smears, where you can see a posted image of his birth certificate. Factcheck.org
so if it's that
say
easy,
debunking
how does
it.
the birther movement continue when the facts of the story or the case are there?
Decouple this entirely from facts. This has absolutely nothing to do with facts. This is about a certain mindset. On the far right, we've seen it for decades and decades. You could see it, for example, in the essay, The Paranoid Style in American Politics by historian Richard Hofstadter. That was written 45 years ago. It reads like it was written yesterday. He was talking then about the John Birch Society and communist conspiracies, but if you read what the people believed, it was our American values have been undermined by intellectuals. There's a treasonous plots in the White House to undermine our national security. The old competitive capitalism has been destroyed by socialism. This is the language you hear today. It's identical. And you heard it from Orly Tates yesterday. She was talking about Stalinist Russia and bringing up Nazi Germany. That has nothing to do with a simple birth certificate. This is much, much, much farther than that.
Benjamin, how much of this is generated by people who know that the truth is that Barack Obama was born in Hawaii, but they simply just want to cause trouble because they're racist and they don't like the fact that we now have an African American as president, and they simply want to cause trouble?
Well, I can't look into the hearts of birthers, of course, and tell you who believes this and who's cynically exploiting this. But I think there's no doubt that, especially you looked at the demographics of this, where by some estimates, well over 60%, even 7% of, say, Southern whites believe this birth certificate stuff. I mean, it's clear that race is playing a huge factor into this. It's just not a coincidence.
Benjamin, real quick, Eugene Robinson, the Washington Post, wrote in part, "I hope they're harmless and I hope they seek help." Are there any indications that this is more than loud, emotional talk, that they are just that harmless and misguided, if that is the description?
Well, as I've said, we've had many conspiracy theories over the years without people necessarily acting even widely held beliefs. For example, the 9/11 truth conspiracies was believed by, according to polls at least to some degree or another, by huge segments of the population that apparently seem just to be okay with it. They think, okay, President Bush destroyed the Twin Towers? All right. No one seemed to really do anything about it. So I think it's at least possible that this will just be an annoyance in the background, but no one will really act on it necessarily. At least we can hope.
All right, Benjamin, it was fascinating, and it is great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Benjamin Sarlin.
Thanks for having me.
And David, yeah, a lot of reaction to that interview with Orly, and we're going to continue to stay on top of it.